All right, let's dive right in. Today we're exploring histology, the hidden fabric of life. And it all begins with a pretty simple but really profound question.
What are we really made of? I mean, sure, we all know we've got organs, muscles, bones, all that stuff. But what happens when you go deeper? What if you could zoom in way, way in? Well, you'd find this. Okay, just look at that. It looks more like a piece of abstract art than biology, right? But this is us. This is the microscopic landscape of stunning colors and patterns that exists inside every one of us. This is the hidden world that histology reveals. And the key that unlocks this universe is a field called histology. It sounds complicated, but the name literally just means the study of tissues. That's all it is. It's the science that lets us peer into the body's microscopic architecture and see how our cells build the amazing structures that make us who we are.
Okay, so let's get into the body's hidden architecture. How do scientists actually capture these breathtaking images? Well, it's not as simple as just pointing a camera. It's a fascinating and surprisingly intricate process.
You see, here's the problem. You can't just take a piece of living tissue and pop it under a microscope. It won't work. Living tissue is mostly water. It's soft, it's fragile, and most importantly, it's almost completely transparent. So to make the invisible visible, you first have to take that piece of tissue on a very special journey. And that journey involves 5 critical steps. We've got fixation, dehydration, clearing, embedding, and finally, slicing. Each of these stages is absolutely essential to transform a delicate, 3-dimensional piece of life into a razor-thin, 2-dimensional story that we can actually read. So step 1, fixation. The moment a piece of tissue is removed from the body, it starts to decay. So scientists immediately put it into a chemical fixative, something like formaldehyde. And that stuff basically hits a giant pause button. It freezes everything in place, stopping all biological processes cold and perfectly preserving the tissue's structure.
Next, you got to get all the water out. That's called dehydration. The tissue is passed through a series of alcohol baths, which gently replaces all the water. Right after that comes clearing, where the alcohol is swapped out for a different solvent. This step is super important because this new solvent is what will allow our next ingredient, wax, to get into every little nook and cranny. Now for the final prep. The tissue gets completely soaked in hot paraffin wax. This is called embedding. As the wax cools, it hardens into a solid block, which gives our fragile tissue the support it needs for what comes next, slicing. They use this incredible machine called a microtome to cut that wax block into sections so thin, they're thinner than a single human hair. Just incredible precision. So now we have our perfectly preserved, impossibly thin slice of tissue mounted on a glass slide. We're all ready to look under the microscope, right? Well, not quite. There's still one huge problem we have to solve before we can bring this micro-world to life. After all that incredible work, the slice of tissue is so thin that it's almost perfectly clear. It's basically invisible. Light just passes right through it. All that beautiful architecture, all those intricate details we worked so hard to preserve, you still can't see a thing. The solution? Staining. This is where the real magic happens. This is the step where special dyes are added, and that transparent slice just bursts into color and detail. It's the moment that a simple piece of biological data gets transformed into a rich visual story that we can finally see. Now, the most common stain by far is a combo called H&E. It's actually 2 dyes working together. You have hematoxylin, which is a dye that loves the acidic parts of a cell, like the nucleus where all the DNA is. It stains those parts a deep blue or purple. Then you have eosin, which stains the other parts, like the cytoplasm, a bright pink. Together, they create that classic high-contrast look that really makes the structures pop. Okay, so our slide is prepped, stained, and ready to go. We can finally peer through the microscope and start reading the cellular story. And what's amazing is that this story, it holds a remarkable secret. Think about how complex our bodies are. The brain, the heart, the skin, they all do wildly different things. But here's the secret. Every single one of our organs is built from different combinations of just 4. That's right, only 4 basic types of tissue. 4 fundamental building blocks for the entire body. First on the list is epithelial tissue. This is basically the body's covering and lining. It's the surface of your skin, and it also lines the inside of things like your stomach and your lungs. These cells are packed together really tightly to form a protective barrier. Second is connective tissue.
This is kind of the everything else tissue. It's the support structure, the glue that connects and holds all the other tissues together. And it's incredibly diverse. I mean, bone and blood are both considered connective tissues. It's all about what kind of matrix the cells are floating in.
Our third type is muscle tissue. This one's pretty obvious. It's the movement tissue. These cells are the body's motors. They're long and fibrous because they're specialized to do one thing really well: contract and generate force. It's what lets you walk, and it's what keeps your heart beating.
And finally, our fourth type, nervous tissue. This is the body's command and control network. It's all the wiring. It's made of these incredible cells called neurons that transmit electrical signals at amazing speeds, connecting your brain to, well, every part of you.
So we have our 4 fundamental building blocks, but how do they all combine to create something as complex as a person? Well, it helps to think of it all as being woven together into the very fabric of life.
Think about it like this. If tissues are a fabric, then the individual cells are the threads. But a bunch of threads isn't a fabric, right? You need something holding them together. That's the matrix, the material between the cells. And that matrix is what determines the fabric's properties, whether it's strong and rigid like bone or soft and flexible like skin.
And what's really amazing is that this incredibly complex fabric of life all starts from just 3 simple layers of cells in an embryo: the ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. That's it. From those 3 starting points, through a process of specialization, all 4 of our fundamental tissue types are born.
And this brings us to the crucial point. Why does all of this matter? Well, understanding the normal pattern of this fabric is the absolute bedrock of modern medicine. Because when something goes wrong in the body, like with an illness or cancer, the pattern of the weave changes. Pathologists can look at a tissue sample under a microscope and spot those changes. It's how they diagnose diseases. It's like reading the body's own visual language of health and sickness. Learning to see this hidden architecture has totally revolutionized our understanding of ourselves. And it really makes you wonder, if there's a world of such profound beauty and complexity right here under our own skin, what other invisible worlds are out there, just waiting for us to find the right way to look?